Okay, right. Hello, game trollers. Welcome to a new video. Um, this is gonna be a fun one. So basically, this video is me doing a little rant, about the latest episode of Doctor Who that just came out called "Can You Hear Me?" Um, so that episode, right? Like, it's not like. I just like thinking about the episode and like seeing the fan reaction and stuff. I feel like I'm being harsh on it, right, in my head, but I really have like this growing hatred for this episode. That's like it's almost unmatched, really. Like the Who addicts, right? Their reaction to it and like their review. Like a lot of people are just like they're complaining about the episode. Some people don't like it. Like I know Ace Creeper did a review. He didn't like it. Who Addicts, they didn't like it. There was someone else that I saw that didn't like it that much in their review video, but like they haven't covered probably. I don't think they really talked about what I think is probably the worst part of the episode. And it's honestly one of the worst things I've ever seen. It's the climax, right? The climax scene at the end. I'm not talking about like the ending where like Yaz, has that little conversation with the police lady, or like the whole Graham and 13 like little like thing where like he's like pouring his heart out and talking about how he's afraid of dying because of the cancer, and then she's just like, I'm not good with these kinds of situations, so I'm just gonna be over here, just like a complete d-bag. So that scene is honestly hilarious. Like, people complaining about it, I find it hilarious. It doesn't really make much sense, and it is kind of bad because of just how like the Doctor is always like, even like the whole excuse that she's socially awkward doesn't even make sense, because like she's probably the most sociable Doctor in the whole show. Like she like, we compare it to Tennant and 11, because those doctors were also super like loud and like wanted people to like talk to people, then like being alone and stuff. But then she's socially awkward. Like, obviously introvert and socially awkward aren't the same thing at all, but I'm pretty sure like if you're socially awkward, you're just not gonna be good around people ever at all. But like, she's probably the one that's like the best around people, so just the whole like she's socially awkward excuse doesn't make sense. But I do just find that scene a bit funny, really. Like, it served its purpose as being funny, while also being like kind of sad for Graham. But yeah, we're not talking about that scene. Like, the last 10 minutes of the episode, I don't really have much of a problem with. The first, like, I don't know, 25 minutes of the episode, I didn't have a problem with, but they are now ruined by the climax of the episode, when let me just lay out what happened. Obviously you've seen it, it just came out, you probably remember it fresh, but I'm gonna just lay it out, right? So basically, the companions and that Syrian nurse lady, they get like, take like the dream stuff from Zelen, right? They go in, you see all their dreams, and their dreams, I'll talk about them in a second. You see all their dreams and stuff, and then it sort of cuts to 13 like finding a way to free Rayeka, the black like goddess lady. Like, she was, I will say, kind of found it funny how like they made the white guy dress in black and the black woman was dressed in white. That's such a like 70s comedy thing to do. Like, it's so weird. Like, like in like a modern day setting to do something that dumb. Like, it's like, that's just something like you would see in like a children's show, or like some like comedy movie from like 70s and 80s. I don't know, that was weird. But anyways, so like the Doctor like trying to free her and stuff, and then you have the confrontation scene with her and Zelen, which I'll talk about in a second. And then it's like, oh, but you've let her out. And then they like do that little animated sequence where they like explain the backstory of these characters. I'll talk about that in a second. And then, and then, right, 13 is like she's tied up where the companions are tied up, and then they put her in a dream state where she thinks about the timeless child. Okay, then this is where stuff sort of happens that yeah, she uses the screwdriver just out of nowhere, whatever, uses the screwdriver, frees herself, frees the companions, has like, there's a conversation with the nurse lady about her monster things, and then they show us scenes of Zelen and Rayeka like talking about how they're gonna use humanity, they're gonna like mess up humanity all throughout like eternity and blah blah blah. And then like they hear the monster growling across time, they go back in time to when the monster is growling, and then 13 is like, the humanity is like strong, you can't defeat them, we're gonna you're so and you're so like, you know, like you're so they don't clean up after him themselves, so they left that orb thing behind that like she can use to put the two of them back into prison. And then the nurse lady conquers her fear off screen, and uses the monster to trap them, to trap them with the monster in the prison, and that's it. So let me talk about this. Let me talk about that. Let me talk about that climax. So let me just bring up some episodes, right? Blink, Midnight, Nikola Tesla's Night of Terror. I'm gonna bring those three up and talk about their climax scenes, right? So the climax of Blink is great. Basically, you have Sally and her boyfriend, I can't remember the name of because I'm a bad fan. They're in the house, they're listening to, you know, Ten do his little great scene of the exposition and stuff about the weeping angels and how you can defeat them and how they can kill you and blah blah blah. And then basically just the rest of it is just tense. It's just like the angels are coming, and then they have to go to the TARDIS and send it back to the doctor and all that. But like the greatness of that scene is that it's just like it's like the perfect amount of tension. Like it makes you believe that they could fail, because one, it's not the doctor, right? It is just these random characters that you've just met, right? Like obviously they have to send the TARDIS back, but like their safety and like their fate is just completely out in the open, because you're most likely never gonna see them again. It's like they might as well have killed them, so it kind of makes it more tense. Just watching it is like, oh, these just random psychers, they could easily die now, and like they're the main characters of the story, so you know, whatever. And you know, it came right after like Human Nature, you know, which is a completely miserable story. So you're just like, man, things could just go really bad, right? So it's tense, right? Doctor's not there, and then throughout the whole thing, they're just completely on the back foot. You know, they're like they go down, they have to stare down that angel, and like you don't know how the guy's gonna survive looking at the angel. And then like, you know, they have the scene downstairs where the angels like turn off the light, and it's like they have to put the key in and turn it and open the door, and the angels are slowly coming at them, right? And then they enter the TARDIS, and you think, oh, there's the safety point. But no, it continues after that, when like the angels start messing with the TARDIS and like flipping it over and stuff, and then they put the disc in where the TARDIS takes off, and you're like, okay, here's a resting point. That's the end. But it's not the end, because the TARDIS leaves them behind, and it's like, oh no, the angels are gonna get us, and it's like the big climactic, like tense moment where like the death of the characters like are assured, but then actually it's the point where they're most safe, because that's how they're defeated, by the angels like looking at each other. So it's like at that same moment they both face their biggest peril, but also is like the ultimate victory at the same time. It's great. It's perfect. Then you get Midnight, where again the doctor's obviously in the story, but the thing with this is that he's completely out of control of the situation. Like throughout the entire episode, he's just out of control. And by the end, when you're just like he's at peak no control because he literally can't even control his body. You know, like the midnight entity is like taking him over. He's completely helpless, and like she's the midnight entity is convincing them to throw him out, and he's like, oh no, you know, you're just like there's no way he can get out of this because they're all convinced that he's the bad guy now because they're all idiots, which is the point. They're all like scared idiot humans, which is the point of the episode. And it's like there's practically no way out of it really. But then the hostess, she's just like she's bad, like she's the only smart one, and then she sacrifices herself to kill the thing, which is also a big bit of tension where like even the person who wins, they lose at the same time because like she dies, she sacrifices herself, so there's losses, there are consequences to what just happened. Okay, you know, like, yeah, like she dies. It's like the hero of the story basically is dead at the end, you know? And it's like you're just like, oh, the doctor's still alive. Whew, you know? Then you have Nikola Tesla's Night of Terror, where again, it's not to the same level, obviously. Very like Blink and Midnight, very different stories to like Nikola Tesla's Night of Terror, but I'm gonna use it because I think it's a bit similar quality and like, well, not quality, but like, you know, it's like it's similar in vibes and stuff to like Can You Hear Me, then those two. You know, it ends, you know, like you have the whole like scene of like them preparing to like defeat the Skifra, and it's all great. It's a great like little montage of them like defeating the Skifra and stuff, of like preparing to defeat the Skifra. Then you have that great little chase scene with the Skifra chasing Edison and Yaz, and obviously, you know, it's like they're not gonna get defeated, but it's still a great little chase scene of just like action and stuff, you know, which is just I like. And then like they get back, and it's like, okay, now it's time to defeat the Skifra. Now, if the episode was just like, okay, let's just send the electricity, let's just use the tower, electrify the ship, blow it up, the queen's dead, everything's done, I would have the same complaint. But no, what they do is they extend it a little bit. They have the queen get out of the ship, which, you know, she's like, she figures out that they're gonna blow up the ship because she's on it, so she might as well get off the ship and come straight to them, which like she has a lot more control over the situation, you know. Shows like she's actually a bit of a capable villain, right? Then, you know, even then, like, she has that whole confrontation with the doctor, and like the doctor's like getting really upset and like really dark with them. It's like she really wants to like she really is mad at the queen and the Skifra, and like she's really like, yeah, you know, I gave you a chance, but it's time to die now. And it's like, okay, right, but I'm not gonna let you do anything, doctor. So then she like has her people, like she prevents the doctor from doing whatever it is she thinks she's doing. So like she's trying to be smart about it. She's like, you're really trying to trick me again, you're trying to escape by using this device, blah blah blah. But then it's like, actually, right, actually you can't trick me, so I'm gonna stop you from doing anything. And then she takes the device and is like, so what were you gonna do with this? Nothing. I just wanted you to take it. It's just a really clever little scene where it's like it's an added bit of tension. You're like, oh, the doctor's plan probably failed, but at the same time you kind of figure out like that's what she wants to do at the same time. So it kind of shows like she's manipulating the situation a little bit to where even when the queen thinks she's winning, she's not winning. Okay. Great little climax scene. And obviously it's just everything about the scene is just brought up to like an 11 because it's just like it's super, like the music is like super intense and like triumphant and dramatic, and like just the atmosphere and the acting is great. Everything about that scene is just really done well, on top of it just being like being written well within like as a climax. Then you come to Can You Hear Me, where literally the doctor's nightmare, she has a nightmare about a timeless child, then magically just gets out of the nightmare for like no particular reason. Like nobody woke up from their nightmares. Why does she randomly wake up from it? Is because she's just the doctor? You can't just you at least you have to say it's just because she's the doctor. They didn't even say that. She just wakes up from it and then there we go. Then she magically uses the Sonic, right? She just magically force pulls the Sonic out of her coat into her hand where she can untie herself, which is like I've said before, in my first review of like Series 12, the first half of Series 12, I mentioned that I don't have a problem with the sonic screwdriver, especially like people complain about 13 specifically about the sonic screwdriver. I never really had an issue with her because I never thought she used the sonic screwdriver as like the winning blow. Like she only ever really used it because she just only really ever used it in like pointless situations, like pointing it at the guy that the Dalek killed to be like, oh, Dalek killed this guy, which is just kind of dumb. It's like, not only should the Doctor know that how like a Dalek gun like kills people, but also it's like, why do you need to scan the dead? It's a weird bit, but like it isn't like breaking to me. But like this scene is like, yeah, she just uses the sonic screwdriver to win. Like, she wins the plot. She fixes the plot. She gets out of her trap thing by using the sonic screwdriver, magically pulling it out of her coat. Just like, obviously, I read somewhere that the explanation is like the cuffs, or like the thing that's like she's tied up to is like magnetized. So like if the sonic screwdriver were to just fall out of her pocket, it would get pulled up. I read that somewhere. It wasn't made clear in the episode. Let's face it, it wasn't made clear in the episode. I was paying attention to the episode too. It's not like I was just on my phone, just not paying attention, like, a Who Addicts or whatever. I was paying attention to the episode. I don't remember that explanation even remotely happening. Okay, then she just has that stupid scene where she's like controlling the fingers with the sonic screwdriver. It just doesn't make sense, right? Like this. Like, not only is she just using the screwdriver to win, but she's also using it in just a completely stupid, like, situation. Like, why is she using the sonic screwdriver here, like, to control fingers? Like, how does that even remotely make sense? Then you get to the bit where they're in Syria. Okay, the bits where, like, they like, Zelen and Rayeka are, like, just talking... and like talking about like how they're gonna defeat, like that's just a bit cringy. It's just kind of generic and dull. It's like villains just discussing how they're gonna, like, how they're bad. It's a bit meh, but like it's not horrible, right? But then you get to the bit where like they're in Syria again, and like 13 like has that final confrontation with her. That part specifically is the worst part, because you have you like these villains. They're built up as like these powerful, immortal people that can like they're like they play God. They like have these whole planets. Which, by the way, I also have a problem with just how the whole like the people from the planets that they were like being gods over, like magically just found a way to create a prison to trap the female the goddess. That just is a bit weird to me, and like that's just a Chibnall thing I figured out, because like Resolution did the same thing where like he had those medieval armies defeat a Dalek, which is just kind of weird to me. Like how does a Dalek get defeated by them, but then like in a modern day setting with tanks and like actual guns, the Dalek manages to absolutely whoop them with a like bad like like an impromptu made suit on Earth that was made by like just this human woman that was getting tired for like that was weird. And like they did the kind of same thing here, which I also have a problem with. But then after that, you have these characters that you've built up as these powerful gods, that, like, whatever. And then 13 just, like, also, I forgot to mention the bit where, like, she and, like, Zelen meet for the first time. That is a horrible bit, too, because that's literally an exposition battle. It's like, oh, this is me. This is my backstory. But oh no, here's this myth that I heard that also explains your backstory a little more and why you're so powerful. Oh, thank you. I blush. Oh, but here's how I'm gonna defeat you. But actually, here's how I'm gonna defeat you by letting her out. But oh no, here's how I've actually reverse defeated you because she's actually the evil one. Ha ha ha. It's like that bit is horrible, but. That bit is horrible. It's just it's like it's an exposition battle. Like they're explaining to us how they're winning and who their characters are, but not actually really doing anything as characters. It's just a bit. Anyways, but then you get to the bit where like she has that little like bit of exposition, and then she has the whole speech about how humans are great, which in the Chibnall era is just not true because like Chibnall loves treating humans like we're the worst things to ever exist in all of time and space, which is just like watching any of New Who before that is just a bit weird because like for the most part humanity is always portrayed as like this great powerful group of people, but like we still are flawed. Like Midnight shows that like we're flawed, like we can get scared, we can be dumb at times, but like for the most part we're always great. But like in Chibnall era it's just like we're the worst pieces of trash ever. Like we're all racist against each other, we're destroying our planet just constantly. We're like we're sexist. We just are. And then just for randomly this I was like actually humans are great, because like our fear is a superpower. But then like she has that bit with Graham where like he's afraid and like, she doesn't know what to say when they literally could have just copy pasted listen. Like they literally could have been like, fear is a superpower. The fact that you're afraid of the cancer makes you a stronger person. Like they literally could have said that. It could have been cringy, but hey, at least it was better than just her being a douche about it. But anyways, you have that bit, right? Like they're in Syria. She's like, they're talking. She has that whole speech about how humans are great and how you can't, like their fears are what makes them special. Blah blah blah. Then like they talk about the Syrian nurse lady just magically off screen conquering her fear of these creatures that she literally created in her mind. Just off screen, completely just undeveloped, just no reason why that should even happen. It's like randomly just somebody being afraid of the dark, and then in the next scene is like they turn into like Blackbeard from One Piece. Like that doesn't make sense, okay? That does not make sense. So that bit was just stupid. And then you have the bit and then just like the whole putting them in the prison thing, that's just a bit lazy. It's like, oh, okay, well you're just gonna put them back in their prison. That's fine. It's not like, we've done this a million times, which I guess makes sense because they are like immortals, so like they shouldn't, like you can't kill them, so it's like the only real way to like defeat them or like, win against them is to like capture them and like lock them up somewhere. That's fine, but like it's a bit meh. But like the fact that they just stand there while the doctor just kind of like explains how she's gonna defeat them and then defeats them is just like compare that to, as I said, the Nikola Tesla's Night of Terror, where like you have that whole montage about them like preparing everything to defeat the Queen by like using Tesla's little tower thing to like blow up the ship with electricity. You have that whole scene, but then it's reversed. It's like there's a twist kind of sorta where like actually, right, she's smarter than that. She's actually being capable to defend. That proves that she's actually a decent villain. Whereas these guys, they're just like, oh, how are you controlling this? Oh, and they just can't stand there. Like I don't even think the goddess chick has a single line in that whole thing. She just screams at the end when the monster is coming after them, which is also an issue. Is why are these eternal people afraid of a monster? They can't die. The monster can't do anything. They know it's not real. They should be able to. Anyway, so yeah, and just the whole like And the fact they're cracking jokes at the end, like when she's like, "Thank you for lending a hand," and like Ryan's like, "Really?" And then she's like, "I can't resist." It's like at that point, like Zelen should have just teleported behind her and snapped her neck. Like at that point, that's what should have happened in a good episode, or an episode where the villain actually is good. Um, like imagine the climax of like Dark Knight. I'm watching the Dark Knight. I was watching the Dark Knight before making this video, and like imagine if the climax of the Dark Knight is like Batman and Gordon cracking jokes while Two-Face is like just standing there flipping his coin, and then like Batman just throws him off the building. Like imagine if that was like the climax of Dark Knight. That's so yeah, that whole bit was just kind of stupid. And it's like there's no tension. Like the villains just do nothing. There's no like possibility that she like might fail. You know, like this is like, oh, maybe the doctor could like actually like maybe sort of fail here, and like the god people might actually be able to defend or like stop her plan. But it's like because they don't explain the plan, maybe it's like supposed to be like, oh well, the plan's gonna go because they're explaining the plan here. You know, it's not like Nikola Tesla's not a terror where you explain the plan, so it's like you're expecting it to happen. Now it won't happen. Like, like I don't understand. You can't even go from that bit where like she's like, I freed her so she can like defeat you, but it's like actually she's the bad one. It's like how can you do that? Like have that little twist, but then the climax is less like they should have been reversed in a way. Like like the whole like Sherlocking them up thing should be like come first, and then like the climax is like the twist that she's the evil. It doesn't matter. Anyways, I'm running out of Horizon Zero Dawn footage. Actually, hang on. That bit just lacked tension. There was no tension to it. It's like, oh, she's just beating them now, which is just a problem I have with 13's era in general. Because like when you do actually have a villain that she is capable of defeating, like say, like in series 11, like most of the episodes, like one big issue is that they just had no villain. It's just like, you know, Rosa, there was no real villain, and even then it's a like she's supposed to lose in a way. It's like a meant to lose kind of situation. It's like she has to stand by and watch Rosa get arrested for the greater good. Then Demons of the Punjab is kind of like the same thing. But then you have like bits like I want to say Woman Who Fell to Earth, but like not that much. Like Woman Who Fell to Earth and Ghost Monument, I'm able to like accept because like they come early in the series, like when 13's establishing herself, so it's fine that like, you know, she kind of defeats the enemies a little easy, right? Even then though, that's still like not a good, like not, you know, particularly acceptable, because then like 11th Hour is a bit like, you know, Prisoner Zero at least fights back a little bit in that too, when like he like does the whole, oh well, you know, you've given them all my faces, well I'm just gonna use a face that they haven't recognized before, and like she, you know, turns into 11 and Amy, like that well she, well yeah, Prisoner Zero turns into 11 and Amy is like a last little bit of fight, right? So like that at least has some tension to it. But then you have something like but yeah, so like Woman Who Fell to Earth and Ghost Mountain, even though like there, you know, it's kind of acceptable, like she defeats, you know, the Remnants and Tim Shaw easy, it's still fine. But it like this came like this is episode 7, you know, this this is in literally like this is the blink of the series. Technically it's like the second to last, or like the like one of the last couple of stories in the series, and you have a climax, have an episode where like the threat level is almost like non-existent. Like that's just wild to me. Like like honestly, Nikola Tesla's Night of Terror should have been here. Like sure, it's a bit like like Can You Hear Me has a little bit more like character stuff to it, like it's a little bit more developed, like in terms of like the characters and like how they're progressing and evolving. It should be probably at the, you know, tail end, kind of like it takes you away. But like it takes you away. Resolution Yeah, it takes you away, and Resolution, I'd say, are probably the best at doing their little climaxes, because like it takes you away. Like 13 is kind of like not really in control of the situation. She just has like to manipulate and like figure her way out of it, like slowly. Like how she like has to convince what's his face that like that's not his wife, and like trying to convince Graham, but they're not being convinced very easily. And then like having the whole conversation with the solid track, right, where she's like, it's not necessarily like she's manipulating it, because I don't think that was the intention, right? Like it wasn't like she's playing it like a fiddle. Like she was genuinely, like she was being completely genuine in like the whole you should let me go, blah blah blah. That the only thing is the only problem is the frog, but like even that, like I hate the frog. Like I really don't like the frog, but just as an idea, like if that didn't have a frog, if it were like another animal or like something else, I probably would be fine with it. But the frog is a bit of a problem. But still, like the actual scene itself, like what it's doing, like I'm perfectly fine with. Like that's the climax of the episode basically. It's like her like having this heart to heart with this universe entity that's like it's lonely, and like she's like it's a nice little scene. It's not necessarily the most threatening, but it's still got a nice like it's not even like it was a villain anyways. Like the solid track was a villain. It was like a amicable scene and stuff. Just kind of like these two like great beings having like a little heart to heart. That's really all that was doing. And but the kind of the climactic moment is them like running out of the portal, and like going through the mirror and like blowing it up and stuff. That's fine. Like it's, as I said, it's a bit simple, right? There's no threat level. Like, well, I mean, there's a threat level, like the things closing out. It's like, oh, crazy and stuff. But like if you think about it, it's just them running out of the mirror. It's not like there's like something's preventing them from running. It's not like that was going on. But yeah. Anyways, yeah, so like something like that takes you away. That climax is good, and the climax of Resolution is pretty good too. Because like as I said, there's a threat level. Like there's it's a bit dumb. Like the way it's done is a bit dumb, because like it's either dumb or smart. Because either it's like 13's just being an idiot and like not realizing Ryan's dad could be in complete danger because of this because like of like sending it out or whatever. Or it could be like she just so is desperate to kill the Dalek that she's like willing to sacrifice the dad, even though that's not really how her character works, but I still like it because I like darkness. So yeah, so you have that climax was good because like she like does the microwave, she melts the Dalek down. It's like, okay, that if it ended there, her melting the Dalek with the microwave, I would have had a problem with it. But then like the Dalek comes out of the shell and like takes over Ryan's dad, and it's like this big, there's a big threat, like, oh, Ryan's dad could die and stuff like that. Well, just when like he and Ryan were getting together and stuff. Like they were getting along again, like they were, reconstructing their relationship that was lost. And like there's a threat, there's like a personal like like problem, like something bad could really happen here. Like even if the villain is defeated, like there still could be a loss, which is like I like a good Pyrrhic victory in a way, or like the possibility of a Pyrrhic victory. Whereas Can You Hear Me was just like there's no like, oh, the companions might die here, or like Tahira could even die. Like Girl Who Died is not the greatest episode, but that kind of had a good climax in a way, because it actually like had Ashildr die, even though it was ruined. Well, not ruined, but like reversed. But whatever. And like like Last of the Time Lords, people complain about that episode's climax, but it's like it's not bad, because like while they do reverse time, you still have the whole bit of like Martha's family was like tortured, and like we still have to deal with the Master, even though he's at our mercy. We still have to deal with him, like how we're gonna deal with him, and like he gets shot, so that adds a whole extra like bit of sadness and depth to that scene. Like it's still, it's like they reverse time, but like the people that actually matter are still affected by it. So it doesn't it just means that the Earth is back to normal. It doesn't mean like there's no consequences. There are consequences. It's more important that there are consequences to like the main characters than there are to like Earth, because like we're not gonna see just humans just running, like we're not gonna have a whole episode of just humans doing their thing, and it's like, oh, we nearly died or whatever. Like, yeah. But like this was just like there was no threat. Like the villains were they just like got defeated because they just got defeated and they did nothing about it at all. They were just kind of confused and just stood there while like 13 explained how she was gonna defeat them and then defeats them. And just the actual scene itself was a bit cringy because 13 in Can You Hear Me was really annoying. I didn't really even like her in that episode, like especially in that scene where she was a bit annoying. Like it was very Series 11. And also it's just like it's an exposition in a way, like it's still got some exposition in there. It's like, you left your prison, so I'm gonna use your prison to put you in. It's like it's not like you'll figure it out type thing. They still have to spell it out. That's what they're doing. And also just the whole Syrian nurse just kind of figuring out, like just completely conquering this fear off screen in like 5 seconds. Like that was an issue. Like, yeah, that episode's climax is just horrible. The episode, like, I didn't have a problem with the rest of the episode, like everything before like 13 gets tied up. Everything before the animated sequence, I think it's fine, but it's ruined because the climax means nothing. So like you're watching those scenes with Zelen, and like the scenes with Zelen mean nothing because you know how easily he gets defeated later. And like the nightmares, they don't really even do anything really, in a way. So it's just like they really could, like you could have just had like they're in their nightmares, they're in their like stuff, like their nightmares are coming real, blah blah blah. They're experiencing these nightmares for real now. Which also is a bit weird because like with the Syrian nurse lady, Zelen grabs the image from her head, like that monster from her head, and then actually makes the monster real and come and attack her and like terrorize her. But then for some reason with all the others, he just puts them in a dream state. That doesn't make any sense. Like his actual power, like the themes and like what that episode was going for was completely all over the place. Because like one, it was about depression and mental illness and being suicidal, right, randomly at the end. But then it was actually about your fears and your nightmares. But then like the actual fears and nightmares don't make any sense because like you're going out, one person, for some reason their fears are coming real and they're actually being attacked in real life by those fears, and like other people are dying because of it. But then the other people, they just put in a dream state where like they're just experiencing their worst fears. That's a bit weird. That doesn't make any sense. So yeah, just that episode in general, like just like it's fun. Like there's just, like I don't even want to hate it. It's just yeah. Anyways, that's it for this video. Hopefully you guys enjoyed. If you did, please like, comment, and subscribe. I'll see you in the next one. Troll on Bayball. It was a long rant video. Okay, bye bye.